Welcome back, my loves. Today, I really want to share about forgiveness, and it's still going to be about healing past relationships, but it's also going to be about learning how to build new relationship patterns and feel better with yourself and heal your heart and everything that I've been going through for the past 2.5 years. My whole lifetime, to be honest, is just about learning how to open my heart and heal and be a better person and love better and interact better and have better relationships, whether it's with my family, my friends, and especially my romantic partnerships. So yeah, let's jump right in. If you're new here, my name is Lika. I'm a coach and a mentor. I help you live a more empowered, fulfilling, pleasurable, embodied, and aligned life. Make sure to like this video, to leave a comment below, to share your thoughts, your opinions, to share, if it helped you, supported you, and what you think and what you experience, because I love to be able to exchange. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, now let's jump right into the topic of today. So I wanted to sit down and talk about forgiveness because I feel like there are so many misconceptions out there around what forgiveness is and how to forgive, etc., etc. And there is also so much resentment around ex-partners or people who have hurt us in the past. We carry those wounds and we carry this righteousness and this kind of like, I'm superior, I know better, I'm so much more, and this person doesn't deserve me, and this person doesn't deserve access to my energy because I'm a queen, because I'm a goddess, because I'm blah 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 blah. I've been evolving in the realm of the coaching industry and women's circles and feminism and all of that for a long time. And I shared in a video that that I almost fell asleep recording about why I'm not feminist anymore. And I think that goes into like just the actual nature of the feminine energy. And when I say the actual nature, just like when I say anything in my videos, I'm not talking about the truth. I don't own any truth. I'm just sharing about what I believe in that moment. And even my own belief system and my own opinions are constantly changing. Obviously, you have your own, and there are just so many people, and we can see it now with internet, how everyone think different, and you can literally find anything, any, contradictory opinions. So again, I'm just sharing my own beliefs and what I've learned around my journey. But I really want you to stay sovereign and to believe in what you want to believe. I don't want you to believe in what I'm saying just because I'm saying it. Just like I don't want to just stay so attached to my own opinions either. Like, I love conversation. I love to debate about things, which is something that it's fairly new. Like, I mean, I always loved that, but I'm also very opinionated, and sometimes I was wanting to be right. Like, I wanted to show, like, no, I know the truth, which is technically impossible. There is not, in my opinion, there is no such things as the truth. We all experience our own individual truth. But with that being said, there is just so much in that field that I have experienced and that I've walked that path myself. And that's the only reason why I feel comfortable talking about that. It's because I've embodied that for a while and I'm out of it now. So I want to like dissect it and share the lessons of it and how I've evolved from it. What I'm talking here, the path that I was on, this feminist goddess thing, I've talked about it a lot in my videos, but it's that belief in the realm of feminine empowerment, that somehow the feminine energy is better, and women especially are better than men. It's amazing that we have this power reclamation. It's amazing that I feel like all there's women that have been so repressed for so long are finally, expanding and allowing themselves to be the wild woman and in tune with her emotions and her rage and her magnificence as well, and her beauty, and owning it and claiming it. I love that. I've walked that path and I realized so much contraction, so much like that righteousness that doesn't feel right in my nervous system. Honestly, what feels right in my nervous system is acceptance, compassion, love, being soft, being open-minded, and being forgiving. I see so many people. I've met so many people in my life, and I got influenced. Again, I recorded that video about the opinions of others and how it's easy to get lost into what everybody else is thinking and telling you. But at the end of the day, the work, at least for me, is really to come back to my heart and do what I want to do, even if it's very, very, very different from what everybody else is thinking, from what the internet is thinking. And sometimes I really do feel like a fucking alien. But then I come back to my heart and my own devotion. And I am so devoted to this path of true love and compassion and forgiveness. And the line is really thin between, being almost like a doormat for people and being too nice and too naive and having very poor boundaries, and being extremely amazingly compassionate, holding a compassion that very few people are actually able to access and to hold and to give and to provide for the world, and a type of love that is unconditional. My path is true love, unconditional love for myself, for others, for this planet. It's also a tricky world to navigate. I feel like when you talk about love, there's this belief that it's all rainbows and butterflies and glitters and like unicorns, and it's all pink and it's beautiful, and it's like fairies, and yeah. And I think it's because I'm a Libra. I have this Venus energy inside of me that is like, Venus being, associated with the goddess of love and war. And it's like, I feel like love is kind of a war on itself, which I know is very contradictory. But hear me out. Staying in a state of love, forgiveness, and compassion with other people, with yourself and other people, is so hard. It's actually really difficult in our society. Everything since we're very, very young is creating separation, judgment, rejection, pointing fingers, blaming, criticizing, and putting everything, including ourselves, in boxes. And if it doesn't fit the box, then we reject, and then it's bad, and then it's wrong. There is always such a contrast between black and white, and it's never gray, it's never in between, it's never like just a mix of all the colors in the rainbows. It's always like, this is this or that, this is good or bad, I'm right, you're wrong. Like, there is always this separation. That's one of the reasons why I said I'm not a feminist anymore. I feel like, for so many reasons, right? But like fighting, like that's not the way I want to do things. And I have one of my friends, she is so like feminist, and she's also really into ecology and like sustainability, and she's such a fighter. Like, she would go on strikes and like it's, and like very violent movement, societal movements. And it's very interesting when we debate, because we fundamentally disagree about the way to do things. But I also believe like everyone has a role to play. Everyone has been placed on this planet for a reason and to embody something. And we need all of it. We need that diversity. I feel like with TikTok and Instagram and all the things that use algorithm to know our taste and to show us content that is, to our liking, it creates more like similarities. Like, you only follow people that you agree with, and if you don't agree, you mute them, you block them, you just don't look at that, which I think is freaking amazing, because it's amazing to know that you have a community, to feel part of something, to feel like you're not an alien, and that there are other people believing the same thing that you believe and wanting to live a life the way you want to live a life. So it's amazing in a way. And on the other side, it creates a little bit of lack of fertility. I profoundly believe that fertility and diversity and richness comes from, diversity. Like something rich, something fertile comes from diversity. That's why, we don't reproduce within our own bloods, because we need different genes to evolve. And that's why when you see like cult people, like the collapse of like cults or, society that have been built on like having the same person, the same model, the same ideas. And for some people it's hard. Like one of my best friend, another one, she is like so neutral. She hears everybody's opinion. She doesn't really have a strong opinion, and she's just so accepting naturally of, like everyone can disagree and we can agree to disagree and stuff. And I have to say, on my own path, like it has been inner work to get there. I'm not there fully. Like again, like it doesn't come as natural as it comes from her, for example, because for me, oh boy, I'm so opinionated, and I don't know, I have this sense of like, I need to prove my point and I need to defend it. And oh my God, when especially being in that self-development journey, I've learned so much, I've grown so much, and every time I feel like I have a breakthrough, a big revelation, I'm like, oh my God, now I know. Now I know. Only 3 months later, I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know, I changed my mind again. But on the moment, I'm like, oh my God, I need to share it. I need to share my truth. And when I have strong opinions, like, and especially growing up in a society that just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in my system. It doesn't feel good in my body. It doesn't feel good in my head. I just, again, feel like I felt like an alien most of my life. Now, thankfully, I have a community of other aliens that, but again, that's the trick too. I'm going on so many tangents as usual, right? But my best friend, she is so different. Like, as opposite as it gets, we have very strong similar values, which keeps us together. It's the glue of our friendship, and we have been friends. Like, she's my most secure, solid, from the longest person I have in my life. And I need that diversity of friends as well. Like, I have, like, because she doesn't talk my language in terms of spirituality and personal development and all the things that are going on inside of me and that I'm sharing on this channel or on the podcast or in my work. She just doesn't get it. It's just like, she just doesn't get it at all. So thankfully I have friends that I can talk about my visions and my astral travels and my past lives and like my psychedelic journeys and all other things, all other things. And how connected I am to my yoni and my sensuality, and how I've been doing like practices and rituals and again, but I'm glad that I have a diversity of friends, because for a long time I wanted friends like me, because I felt it would be more comfortable to be myself if I had people like me. Like, oh, we can, like, I'll be more confident. I can be my full self. I can do the things that I love because other people are doing the same. And I feel like with growth and maturity and confidence, you don't need that anymore. You can be more in your individuality and knowing that you're going to be the weirdo of your group of friends, maybe, and you're going to be so different, but that's why they love you, first of all. And you don't need so many people like you. And again, richness comes from having different opinions and different ways of doing things and different minds and different bodies and different nervous systems, so we can regulate and exchange codes and vibrations and frequencies between each other, so we can all grow as a collective. I think it's beautiful. So circling back to forgiveness, I see so many people out there, people like strangers that I've met when I was like carpooling, or that I meet in the street or at the gym, or with some of my friends, or people, past relationships I had. They were so resentful against people from the past, like people that created some kind of hurt. I've heard so many women talking about how narcissistic their partner was, and everyone is throwing around this narcissistic, oh my God. Being a narcissist everywhere now, when no one has a degree in psychology, and just when someone triggers them, they would just call the other person a narcissist. I think it's actually funny. Again, personal judgment, but it's crazy to throw this term around when everyone is literally just trying their best. And we have been pushed in that society to be so individualist and to disconnect from others and to reject others and to think about ourselves and to be selfish. Not in the best way, because I think being selfish is fucking amazing. Like, the more you take care of yourself, the more you can take care of others, but in a way that is like rejecting others. So I see so many people, and especially women, holding on to so much resentment against ex-partners, previous friends, like, and be like, like, okay. But if we zoom out and we see things at a soul level, the only way for me to find forgiveness is to do that, to zoom out of my whole experience and to see that every single interaction I had, no matter how good or bad it was, and I'm talking like, it can be extremely bad, talking about sexual assault or someone breaking my heart open, like in the worst way possible, but then in the best way, because my heart was broken open, but my heart was broken. Or someone treating me with so much disrespect and insulting me, like even a stranger in the street, or like a very bad experience, or the best experiences. Everyone played a role for me to experience what I needed to experience. So I can hold on to resentment and anger and lack of forgiveness. I don't know if you know this quote saying, not forgiving someone is like drinking the poison and hoping for the other person to die. And I had this sentence a lot in my head when I was holding on to so much resentment. And the reason why I'm doing this video, it's like, again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a master at that. I'm not a queen of forgiveness. I'm just committed to be more forgiving, to hold more compassion. And I'm literally trying my best. And it's not easy. It's not an easy journey, because I haven't been programmed and conditioned as I was younger to have that natural ability to love, to forgive, to put myself in the other person's shoes, to see them with the eyes of compassion of like, I don't know what they are going through. And something that really helped me in the process is nonviolent communication. Marshall Rosenberg, which is the daddy of nonviolent communication, he always, talks about putting your nonviolent communication ears to hear what someone is saying. If someone is like screaming at you, being very aggressive. But what I tend to do is just like defend myself and be aggressive in return, because I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Or I was having so little, self-esteem and love for myself that I would just get walked all over and be really disrespected from other people and just feel like bullied and feel so small and so bad. All of that to say that forgiveness, love, compassion, they seem so less valued in our society, but I think they are like so important, first of all, but also they are hard to fully attain. It's easier to stay resentful, because what happens when we are resentful, we're still in our righteousness. We're still thinking this other person is wrong. I've done nothing. They are narcissists. They are selfish. They are mean. They are not good enough. Like whatever you qualified people that you hold resentment against. The best example of that is parents. I feel like I can see someone that has done the work when they have a level, I don't mean like full forgiveness, but a certain degree of forgiveness for their parents. When they finally see their parents not as their parents and like little gods that didn't fulfill their needs and like fucked them up in many ways because of this or that, but they see them as human beings that are just trying their best. And that's a sign of maturity. Like, that's how you can tell if someone like has done some work, like especially if they had like a traumatic or like a painful childhood and they held, like I've held resentment against my parents for the longest time. And still sometimes it comes up. I'm like, I'm feeling a certain type of way and I'm like, this is because I've experienced this in my childhood. This is because my parents would never be able to communicate in this way. This is, they did that. And then I'm like coming back to like, wait a minute. They've just done the best they could with what they had. And it sounds so silly. Like it's such a small, simple sentence that you've probably heard many times. They're just doing the best they can. We are literally all doing the best we can. And I know sometimes the best we can is not enough for our society. When you see so much pain and so much suffering inflicted on each other, and how horrible and the lack of empathy, the lack of love, the lack of so many things in our society, you're thinking like, yeah, but that's not enough. We need to do better. Yes. And even someone that is in so much pain and that is treating others like shit, they're literally doing the best they can with what they have. They probably never got love or compassion or empathy, or they cannot give what they never received. And so when we start thinking in this way, it just allows us to be more kind with others. And it's probably me being so influenced by the fact that I'm back in France right now, because I've always thought that this culture is really rude and mean. I don't really like living here, I'm gonna be honest. There are so many amazing things about France and Europe in general, but our culture is very like on the defense all the time, which is something I didn't experience as much when I was living in London or in Asia, or every culture is different. Every country that I've been in is different. Plus it's always through my own eyes and my own experience and my own, like going to more touristic places maybe, or not even, but yeah, like even when you are for a month in immersion in a culture, you're still seeing it through your own eyes. But I've always felt like people in France, like strangers, especially, if you take the bus or if you go to the market, or like people are not really friendly and they can be really rude and very aggressive in the way they talk to you. And that always hurt in my soul and my heart so deeply. Like I'm so sensitive to that, because I'm like, can we please be kind to each other? Because we don't know what we've been through, and we don't know what someone is, even if you're putting a face and you wear like the most amazing outfit and the most amazing makeup and like you have like expensive stuff and like you look like you got your shit together, it doesn't mean that in here your mental health or your heart or something inside of you is maybe in pain. So yeah, as I was saying, there is also this process of like zooming out, realizing that you are who you are today. And I'm guessing that you are proud of your journey. If you look back, you survived 100% of your life and all your experiences and all your hardships and all, you survived all the days until this moment. And so I guess that you're proud of who you're being, and you can show yourself that compassion of like, you've done the best you could with what you had. And if you're like me and you're really hard on yourself and you're a perfectionist and you always thrive to be a better person, it's never enough. I know. And it can be like this mean voice in your head telling you that it's never enough, and feeling guilty from the past and how you hurted people in the past and how you haven't done the perfect thing in the past. And like there's this constant desire for growth, which is amazing. I love that about myself. I love that about others. Someone that constantly, I know that if we don't talk for 2 weeks, 1 month, a year, 5 years, they're going to be a whole different person, and they would have learned from what they've been doing because they are constantly improving themselves. I respect that. I love that. And at the same time, it can be a hard process to constantly be thinking, to constantly being improving yourself, to constantly feel like what you're doing is not enough, that you are not enough. And you put on top of that other people putting you on a pedestal, thinking that you're God, putting so much responsibility on you for you to be that amazing person, leaving zero space for being human and making mistakes, and life becomes an internal hell. So that forgiveness and that compassion that I'm talking about, when you zoom out, is instead of pointing fingers at what other people did to you and how wrong they, how much they hurted you and how mean they are, and how try to actually deeply put yourself in their shoes, knowing that you don't know the entirety of their stories and of what is actually running through them. You don't know how much discomfort they may feel, how much pain, how much hurt, how much trauma, how much lack of awareness they may experience in themselves. And so when I see again those women talking about their exes and stuff like this and pointing fingers and criticizing and be like, there is also the part of ownership, and that's where the hard work begins. What did I do? Like, I've been in abusive relationships. I've been with a boyfriend that was physical with me in the worst possible way. And like we're getting like physically in fights and like hurting each other, like emotionally, physically, like every level. And I used to hold so much resentment for this person, for example. And then I was like, what did I do? Like, I stayed in this relationship longer than I probably should have. I invited this energy. I allow it to be. I also was really crazy, like really like picking on fights and just like being so jealous and not being aware of my own shit. And again, I've done the best I could with what I had at the time. Like, I couldn't do better because that's what I had access to at that moment, in that time. Same for them. So every single interaction, friends, romantic partners, your family, colleagues, bosses, like, it's always two people. You are responsible for your side of the story. So saying that everybody else is the problem and that you don't have anything to do and just people were horrible to you and so mean and so bad and you've been treated so poorly and everyone is just leaving you and abandoning you and all those stories, they're just stories. Again, I've been there, I've done it, I'm still doing it. I'm not an expert. I'm just on this path, on this journey, trying to learn along the way. But the less we blame other people, the more we take ownership. And the more we see that as like a soul training. Like, my soul came here to gain in wisdom, to gain in maturity and in like expansion and life lessons, the more you can actually be like, all right, I've learned so much. Thank you. And so first is that compassion with yourself, that you did the best you could at that time. When you give yourself and you're full of compassion, the most natural thing is that this compassion is going to overflow out of you, and you're going to be able to provide this compassion for everybody else. And when you don't, when you feel so bad about yourself and so guilty, and you're like shaming yourself, and you're thinking that you're never good enough, and how, you know, fucked up you are, and how broken you are, and what you did wrong, and what you didn't do, and what you did do that was not good enough. When you're lost in that, you cannot give compassion for others. Sometimes it works the other way around. See someone that you love and see how sometimes in their lives they fucked up. They made a mistake. And how, you know, you can see that they just did the best they could. And that there were so many parameters that comes into play. And that unfortunately, we're not here to be angels. Like, we will be perfect, we will be angelic, we will be divine the day we die, the day we're not in this physical human suit anymore. While we're here on planet Earth, we're gonna deal with our shit, we're gonna deal with our trauma, our lack of awareness. We can only know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And it sounds silly, but so much more acceptance, so much more forgiveness. I hope this video was useful for you, and you know, just like expanding our heart and just like taking a deep breath of openness, opening your shoulders, opening your heart, holding on to your beautiful boobies, and giving yourself that love, that forgiveness, that compassion, knowing it's a journey. It's not gonna happen like that. It's fine. And expanding that love and compassion for everyone that played a role in your journey. They don't have to be in your life, but this forgiveness is for you and for them. And if we could just all live like that, it will be amazing. And I know it's maybe naive of me to think like, yes, a world of compassion and love, but it is a war. We're being bombarded with ideas of separation, with like making yourself right and other people's wrong. And you know, like, just stretching my hips. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you with that. And I hope you had an amazing, amazing rest of your day. And I will keep sharing my journey with you. Mwah.